Devaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye. Ashtapraishu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 10, the trunk, branches and sub-branches of the Chaitanya tree. Text 45 onwards. Prahlad samantara gunera taranga yavana tada neojan nahi kabru bhanga. The waves of his good qualities were like those of Prahlad Maharaj. So he was Haridas Thakur, it's been discussed. He did not even slightly raise an eyebrow when persecuted by the Muslim ruler. Slightly, not even slightly. Although he was being beaten up in 22 marketplaces mercilessly by the soldiers. Teho siddhi paile tar deha laya kole nachila chaitanya prabhu mahakutuhale. After the passing away of Haridas Thakur, the Lord himself took his body on his lap and danced with it in great ecstasy. This will be described in much detail later on. Tara Lila Varniyachin Vrindavan Das Yeva Avashishta Hage Kariba Prakash. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur has vividly described the pastimes of Haridas Thakur in his Chaitanya Bhagavat. Whatever has remained undescribed, I shall try to explain later in this book. Tara Upashakayat Kulin Grami Jana Satya Raja Adi Tara Kripara Bhajan. One sub-branch of Haridas Thakur consisted of the residents of Kulin Gram. The most important among them was Satyaraj Khan or Satyaraj Vasu, who was a recipient of all the mercy of Haridas Thakur. So Satyaraj Khan was the son of Gunaraj Khan and father of Ramanand Vasu. So sometimes we see some Muslim names also coming, and the Khan surname definitely is not Hindu, but first name is Satyaraj, and he was the son of Gunaraj. So I don't know how this happened, but obviously mercy of some devotees. Haridas Thakur lived for some time during the Chaturmasya period in the village named Kulin Gram, where he chanted the holy name, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and distributed his mercy to the descendants of the Vasu family. Satyaraj Khan was allotted the service of supplying silk robes for the Jagannath deity during the Rath Yatra festival. See, supplying silk robes, and these silk robes are not used for pulling the chariot. These silk robes are used to, I don't want to say use the word tie Lord Jagannath to a post on the chariot so he doesn't fall off, to whatever we want to say, but we know. These silk robes are used over there. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's answers to his inquiries about the duty of householder devotees are vividly described in Madhya Lila, chapters 15 and 16. So he has Kulin Gram. So the devotees from Kulin Gram, they asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu 3 years in a row, what is the duties and what are the symptoms of a Vaishnava? The Mahaprabhu answered every time differently. So we'll get to that. Very wonderful answers there. The village of Kulin Gram is situated 2 miles from the railway station named Jo Gram on the cord line from Havla to Burdwan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very highly praised the people of Kulin Gram, and he stated that even a dog of Kulin Gram was very dear to him. So special, very special place. Shri Murari Gupta Shakha Premera Bhandara Prabhur Hriday Dravya Shuni Danya Jar. Murari Gupta, the 21st branch of the tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was a storehouse of love of Godhead. His great humility and meekness melted the heart of Lord Chaitanya. Now, Murari Gupta, wonderful, wonderful person. We'll read more about him. Sri Murari Gupta wrote a book called Sri Chaitanya Charita. He belonged to a Vaidya physician family of Sri Hata, the paternal home of Lord Chaitanya, and later became a resident of Navadvip. He was among the elders of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya exhibited his Varaha form in the house of Murari Gupta, as described in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Khanda, 3rd chapter. So this house of Murari Gupta is not far from our ISKCON Mayapur. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his Mahaprakash form, he appeared before Murari Gupta as Lord Ramchandra. Why? Because Hanumanji came as Murari Gupta in the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityanand Prabhu were sitting together in the house of Srivas Thakur, Murari Gupta first offered his respects to Lord Chaitanya and then to Nityanand Prabhu. Nityanand Prabhu, however, was older than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and therefore Lord Chaitanya remarked that Murari Gupta had violated social etiquette, for he should have first shown respect to Nityanand Prabhu and then to him. In this way, by the grace of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Murari Gupta was informed about the position of Sri Nityanand Prabhu, and the next day he offered obeisances first to Lord Nityananda and then to Lord Chaitanya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave chewed pan or betel nut to Murari Gupta. Once Shivanand Sen offered food to Lord Chaitanya that had been cooked with excessive ghee. And the next day, the Lord became sick and went to Murari Gupta for treatment. Lord Chaitanya accepted some water from the water pot of Murari Gupta, and thus he was cured. The natural remedy for indigestion is to drink a little water. And since Murari Gupta was a physician, he gave the Lord some drinking water and cured him. Of course, he gave him there to perform his pastime, to give his mercy on to Murari Gupta. And as Prabhupada writes that Murari Gupta has written a book called Sri Chaitanya Charita. See, Murari Gupta was in Navadvip to see Mahaprabhu's pastimes, especially his pastimes when he was before initiation. So pastimes of Nimai Pandit. So Chaitanya Charita and later this book by Lochandas Thakur, Chaitanya Mangal, which was based on Murari Gupta's books. So he had described more about youthful pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the house of Srivas Thakur in his Chaturbhuja form, Murari Gupta became his carrier in the form of Garuda. And in these pastimes of ecstasy, the Lord then got up on his back. It was the desire of Murari Gupta to leave his body before the disappearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the Lord forbade him to do so. This is described in Chaitanya Bhagavat, Madhya Khanda. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one day appeared in ecstasy as a Varaha Murti, Murari Gupta offered him prayers. He was a great devotee of Lord Ramachandra, and his staunch devotion is vividly described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 15th chapter, verses 137 through 157. And as it is mentioned, Murari Gupta was a physician. He was a doctor. But Mahaprabhu said, you are spiritual as well as material doctor. Because you treat others' bodies, so you're a material doctor, but you treat others' spiritual disease also. So you're a spiritual doctor also. And there was a very beautiful, very funny pastime, beautiful pastime, because Murari Gupta earlier had some Mayavad conception. that he liked that philosophy. So once Nimai Pandit, when little baby Nimai, not baby, but not young, just a young boy, Nimai Pandit. So he was arguing with Murari Gupta about the Mayavad philosophy. And Murari Gupta wasn't giving up. So Nimai told him that I'll teach you a lesson. I'll show you which philosophy is great. So Murari Gupta went home, not understanding what little Nimai is talking. Okay, he went home. So Murari Gupta went home and he was having his lunch prashadam. A nice plate with rice and shukta and other stuff in the plate, and he was eating. And then Nimai came to his house and knocked on the door. And so opened the door, and Murari Gupta was having lunch, and Nimai came. And Murari Gupta was happily shocked to see Nimai Pandit there. And Nimai came and he just passed urine on his plate of prashadam. And Murari Gupta, hey, Nimai, what are you doing? Say, what did you do? And Nimai said, see, the philosophy, Vaishnav philosophy and the philosophy in Vedas is such wonderful, like your plate of prashadam, rice and shukta and other things that you have. But when you talk about Mayavad thing, it's like putting urine to the philosophy. And he put urine, he passed urine in his plate and ran away. So Nimai can do anything. But this was a wonderful way of arguing or ending an argument. Pratigraha nahi kare nalay karadhana atmavritti kari kare kutumva bharam. Srila Murari Gupta never accepted charity from friends, nor did he accept money from anyone. He practiced as a physician and maintained his family with his earnings. So it should be noted that a grihastha householder must not make his livelihood by begging from anyone. Every householder of the higher caste should engage himself in his own occupation duty as a Brahman, Kshatriya or Vaishya, but he should not engage in the service of others, for this is the duty of a Shudra. So Brahmins don't serve others, Kshatriyas definitely don't, and Vaishyas are busy in their business and agriculture and cow protection. So for this is the duty of a Shudra, to serve others and make money out of it, and take money. So we can understand all this, all of us who are in the jobs, what is our position? One should simply accept whatever he earns by his own profession. The engagements of a Brahman are yajan, yajan, patan, patan, dana, pratigraha. A Brahman should be a worshipper of Vishnu, and he should also instruct others how to worship him. A Kshatriya can become a landholder and earn his livelihood by levying taxes or collecting rent from the tenants. A Vaishya can accept agriculture or general trade as an occupational duty. Since Murari Gupta was born in a physician's family, Vaidya-vansha, he practiced as a physician, and with whatever income he earned, he maintained his family. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, everyone should try to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the execution of his occupational duty. That is the perfection of life. This system is called the Deva Varnashram. So obviously, as a devotee, they can do, but this comes under Deva Varnashram. Murari Gupta was an ideal grihastha, for he was a great devotee of Lord Ramchandra and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. By practicing as a physician, he maintained his family and at the same time satisfied Lord Chaitanya to the best of his ability. This is the ideal of householder life. Chikitsa karinyare haya sadaya deha roga bhava rog duita rakshaye. As Murari Gupta treated his patients, by his mercy, both their bodily and spiritual diseases subsided. Murari Gupta could treat both bodily and spiritual disease because he was a physician by profession and a great devotee of the Lord in terms of spiritual advancement. This is an example of service to humanity. Everyone should know that there are two kinds of diseases in human society. One disease which is called adhyatmika, or material disease pertains to the body, but the main disease is spiritual. The living entity is eternal, but somehow or other, when in contact with the material energy, he is subjected to the repetition of birth, death, old age, and disease. The physicians of the modern day should learn from Murari Gupta. All the modern philanthropic physicians open gigantic hospitals. There are no hospitals to cure the spiritual disease of the spirit soul. Actually, based on this instruction, or based on this desire of Prabhupada, there should be a spiritual hospital also. In Mumbai, under Radhanath Maharaj, they opened, devotees have opened this Bhaktivedanta hospital. Wonderful. I mean, it has all the facilities, a modern hospital, but it's a spiritual hospital as well. In the main lobby, there's a deity of Prabhupada. Everybody who comes there take darshan of Prabhupada. And there's a little temple on the side of Lord Jagannath. And Jagannath, every day on a cart, they have made a cart. He goes on his Rath Yatra in the hospital. In every room, devotees take him. And if the patient is there, they get to offer some flowers to Lord Jagannath, get his prasadam. So he goes in every room and the chanting goes on. And the devotees are doctors, nurses, and those who are not initiated, they've been trained how to provide spiritual care also. It's everybody who goes there, they have a very genuinely spiritual experience. The Krishna consciousness movement has taken up the mission of curing this disease. This disease means spiritual disease, but people are not very appreciative because they do not know what this disease is. A diseased person needs both proper medicine and a proper diet. And therefore, the Krishna consciousness movement supplies spiritually stricken people with the medicine of the chanting of the holy name or the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and the diet of prasadam. There are many hospitals and medical clinics to cure bodily diseases, but there are no such hospitals to cure the spiritual disease of the spirit soul. The centers of the Krishna consciousness movement are the only established hospitals that can cure man of birth, death, old age, and disease. So other hospitals, they only work on the body and they just try to make money, lots of money. But even the doctors there or the owners, they don't understand what's the real disease. By exploiting the patients or their relatives, we are just increasing our stay here in the material world, and we also are going to go through this cycle of birth, old age, disease, and death. Even though we are doctors in this lifetime, we don't know for how many lifetimes we have to suffer for this. This nobody teaches. Shriman Sena Prabhu Sevak Pradhan Chaitanya Charana Venu Nahi Jane Ham. Shriman Sen, the 22nd branch of the Chaitanya tree, was a very faithful servant to Lord Chaitanya. He knew nothing else but the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shriman Sen was one of the inhabitants of Navdeep and was a constant companion of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Shri Gadadhar Das Shaka Sarvapari Kaji Ganer Mukhe Yeha Bolaila Hari. Shri Gadadhar Das, the 23rd branch, was understood to be the topmost, for he induced all the Muslim qazis to chant the holy name of Lord Hari. So the Gadadhar Pandit is different from Gadadhar Das. About 8 or 10 miles from Calcutta, on the banks of the Ganges, is a village known as Endia Daha Gram, and Endia. Srila Gadadhar Das was known as an inhabitant of this village. The Bhakti Ratnakar, seventh wave, informs us that after the disappearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gadadhar Das went from Navadvip to Katwa. Thereafter, he came to India Daha and resided there. He is stated to be the luster of the body of Srimati Radharani. Just as Srila Gadadhar Pandit Goswami is an incarnation of Srimati Radharani herself. Gadadhar Das, luster of the body of Srimati Radharani. Incarnation of that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sometimes explained to be Radha Bhav Dyuti Subhalita, or characterized by the emotions and bodily luster of Srimati Radharani. Gadadhar Das is this duty or luster. In the Gaur Gaunadesh Deepika, he is described to be an expansion of the potency of Srimati Radharani. He counts among the associates of both Sri Gaurahari and Nityananda Prabhu. As a devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was one of the associates of Lord Krishna in conjugal love. And as a devotee of Lord Nityananda, he is considered to have been one of the friends of Krishna in pure devotional service. Even though he was an associate of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, he was not among the cowherd boys, but was situated in transcendental mellow of conjugal love. He established a temple of Sri Gaur Sundar in Katwa. So he was one of the devotees who associates of both Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu. Okay, Nityananda Prabhu had his own set of devotees who were his associates, and they were all the Gopsakhas. But Gadadhar Das, he doesn't come in the Gopsakha, not in the mode of friendship, Sakhyaras. He was in Madhuryaras. In 1434 Shakabda or 1512 AD, when Lord Nityananda Prabhu was empowered by Lord Chaitanya to preach the Sankirtan movement in Bengal, Sri Gadadhar Das was one of Lord Nityananda's chief assistants. He preached the Sankirtan movement by requesting everyone to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This simple preaching method of Srila Gadadhar Das can be followed by anyone and everyone in any position of society. One must simply be a sincere and serious servant of Nityananda Prabhu and preach this cult door to door. And the way he preached is very nice. We'll read next paragraph. When Srila Gadadhar Das Prabhu was preaching the cult of Hari Kirtan, there was a magistrate who was very much against a Sankirtan movement. Following in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Gadadhar Das one night went to the house of the Qazi and requested him to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It was a Muslim Qazi, and Gadadhar Das went. And there were security guards outside the house of Qazi. And Gadadhar Das was telling them, call your Qazi, I want to see him right now. And Gadadhar Das, he was very small boy. He was a brahmachari, small, not very big, tall. All the security guards were big. And they were like, what is this boy doing here? He's asking us to call the Qazi in the middle of the night to meet him? They said, no, just go away. He'll see you tomorrow morning. He said, no, it's very important. I want to see him right now. So there was some commotion outside the house. The Qazi heard, he was sleeping and he came out. He said, what do you want, Gadadhar? Gadadhar said, just chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Qazi said, Gadadhar, this is not that time. Because he understood Gadadhar is not some criminal or somebody like that. He said, Gadadhar, it's not that time right now, just go back. Let me sleep. No, 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 no. You chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra right now. Because Mahaprabhu has invested all, Mahaprabhu said Krishna has invested all his energies in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and he will get benefited. Kazi said, okay, let me get rid of this. Why? He said, okay, go back, I'll chant Hare Krishna tomorrow. But he said Hare Krishna. So on hearing this, Srila Garadhara Das Prabhu began to dance and he said, why tomorrow? You have already chanted the Hare Krishna mantra. So simply continue. That's all. Wonderful way of preaching, huh? In Gaur Gaunadesh Deepika, it is said, Srila Gadadhar Das is considered to be a united form of Chandrakanti, who is the effulgence of Srimati Radharani, and Purnananda, who is the foremost of Lord Balram's very dear girlfriends. Thus, Srila Gadadhar Das Prabhu was one of the associates of both Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. Once while Srila Gadadhar Das Prabhu was returning to Bengal from Jagannath Puri with Nityananda Prabhu, he forgot himself and began talking very loudly as if he were a girl of Rajabhumi selling yogurt. And Srila Nityananda Prabhu noted this. So sometimes he would come in his form of a gopi. Another time, while absorbed in the ecstasy of the gopis, he carried a jug filled with Ganges water on his head, as if he were selling milk. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared in the house of Raga Pandit while going to Vrindavan, Gadadhar Das went to see him. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so glad that he put his foot on his head. When Gadadhar Das Prabhu was present in India Daha, he established a Bal Gopal Murti for worship there. Shri Madhav Ghosh performed a drama known as Dan Khanda with the help of Shri Nityananda Prabhu and Shri Gadadhar Das. This is explained in Chaitanya Bhagavat. The tomb of Gadadhar Das Prabhu, which is in the village of India Daha, was under the control of some yogi Vaishnavas and later under the direction of Siddha Bhagwan Das Babaji of Kalna. By his order, Shri Madhusudan Malik, one of the members of the aristocratic Malik family of Nari Kela Danga in Calcutta, established a Patavati monastery there in Bengal in Bengali year 1256 or AD 1849. Madhusudan Malik also arranged for the worship of a deity named Sri Radhakanta. His son Balai Chand Malik established Gaur-Nitai deities there in AD 1905. Thus, on the throne of the temple are both Gaur, Nityananda deities and Radhakrishna. Below the throne is a tablet with an inscription written in Sanskrit. In that temple, there is also a small deity of Lord Shiva as Gopeshwar. This is all described on the stone by the side of the entrance door. Okay, so we can get stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.